Hey everybody, welcome back. So today I'm going to show you how to make an incredibly simple alcohol stove. For those of you that don't have a ton of tools, this might be the easy way to do it. Alright, welcome back everybody. So I'm going to make an alcohol stove out of this tuna can right here. I do have a prototype that I kind of messed around with. This guy here. And you're probably wondering what this hanger strap's doing here. We're going to make a pot stand out of this. And I'll show you some I've made previously. I'll show you how to make this too today. These are fairly simple to put together. And they fold up like that. And you unfold them like this. You just want that nut in the middle, which is that piece there, to be as loose as possible. Now the problem with this is just what you saw there. It flops around all over the place because it's got rounded edges. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and center that as best we can, just by eyeballing it. Same with the holes on the side. We're going to eyeball them. You don't have to be precise. And we're going to cut little notches in there so it sits in there evenly. I found this to be a fairly effective system. It seems to, I'll show you the prototype again, it seems to burn very, very hot. And I tried it with different hole sizes. I tried it with pinholes. Didn't work as well. The bigger the hole, the more you're getting air in there, and it's making the jets kind of inside, kind of like a pressurized alcohol stove, you know, where you make a little soda can deal, and the jets come out the outside. This one makes them from inside, and really, really works fast. And we're also going to boil some water with it later when it's done and test it out. I'm going to do this as fast as possible on video. I'm not going to drag you through every single step as I do it. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, and I'm going to come back with show you what it looks like done. So let's get started. First thing we're going to have to do is put some holes in here, and I'm going to make a line around here even and decide where my holes are going to go. Alright, so first off I have a block here. I'm going to make a mark on there, spin the can around, make a mark. That just gives me kind of an idea of about where the holes will go. If your drill walks a little up or below the line, it's not going to be the end of the world. But I'm going to take the paper off here. There we go. And just kind of spin it around like that. What I'll probably do is go a little below the line. There. Whoop. Missed the spot. So far, no heavy-duty tools. Nothing too difficult. Now, you will need tools for this. But I'll give you substitutions on what you can do with other tools. I'm going to use a drill to drill those holes. You can use a hole punch. If you have an old hole punch, put it over the lip and just make the holes. Now, you may dull your hole punch. You can probably buy one for $2 at the store and use it specifically for that. But you don't need a drill. So let's get into making some marks there. Now what I'm going to try to do is kind of just do an X across here. That's not perfect, of course. Like that. And kind of take up the lines and do a mark there where I want my holes. We're going to go around like that. And that's where we're going to, that's a little too close. Whoops. Put an X through that one. There we go. I didn't see the line underneath. We're going to go around. I'm going to try to make some holes there. And I'm going to start with this drill bit here. Let me see if I can see what it is. A 1/4 drill bit, 1/4-inch drill bit. So I'm going to start with that because that's what I used on the other one. I told you I started with a small one. Didn't work too well. It wasn't sucking in enough air. So this is the one we're going up to. That's what I did with these. So let's get that set up and I'll show you how that's done. Alright, so let's get a hole drilled here. I got a piece of wood as you saw underneath there so it won't bend down too hard. Here we go. And there's your first hole. That's simple. So I'm going to finish this up off camera. And then you're probably going to want to deburr that hole a little bit. As you can see inside there's a little sharp edge. So you can do that with a file or you can do it with a Dremel tool, one or the other. Like I said, you don't need electrical tools to do this. So I'm going to finish up the holes and we're going to move on to the next part. Alright, holes are done. They're not exactly perfectly spaced, but they'll do. You can't really tell. Now, again, I said you can use stuff like a file. You don't really need to use a Dremel. You can just file that stuff flat down there. File it off nice and smooth if you want, so you don't have that lip out there. But I have the Dremel set up, so we can do it that way. And I believe most people probably have a Dremel. You may not have the sanding wheel, but they're easy enough to pick up anywhere. So basically what you're going to do is deburr it. You're going to keep it at a low speed. Now this isn't really necessary. I'm just doing it for safety reasons, so you don't cut your fingers on the edge of the stove. That should do it. We'll finish that step up and I'll bring you back. Alright, so there you go. That pretty much is done. That's your stove. I'm going to clean it up with some sandpaper and make it look pretty. But the inside's all deburred. It's all nice and smooth now, so you won't cut your finger if you have that. It won't catch on gear in a bag if you're using this as in a go bag or in your camping gear. And it's nice and smooth. So, we're not going to worry about how it looks just yet, but we'll get back to that and we'll clean it up. What we're going to do next is build the pot stand, and I told you it's going to look something like this. Using this perforated hanger strap. I already cut a piece off. Okay, so what I'm going to do is cut this into 3 equal sections, and we're going to take the end, and I'll show you when this is folded how it works. You take the end of this, and you stick it in the vise, flat like that, and then you just twist. And you get that nice little smooth even bend. But you have to do all 3 together, so each one bends to the right shape. If you do one at a time, you're going to end up with them all bending to a different shape and they won't fit together. So let me cut up 3 even pieces and we'll get to the bending part. Alright, so this is a leftover, and this was that funky piece on the end that got all mashed up. I think it got stuck in my drawer when I was putting that stuff away. So as you can tell, they're not perfectly flat. Not really a big deal yet, but my point is when you start getting to the bend on these, you definitely want to leave one hole open, because here's where the screw is going to go. Okay, that's going to be what fans it out, and this is going to be where your bend is, right after that second spot. So let me show you here. See, you're going to leave one hole open. That's going to be the hole where the nut goes, and this is where you're going to bend. So you want to place that bend kind of about in a vise, in about here. Okay, so you can get that bend twisted that way. What I do is I just put them all together like that as best I can. I'm going to take you over to the vise and do them in the vise there. Alright, let me just show you how this works first of all. You'll notice I put the nut through the back here. That's because I wanted them to all be even, and that's kind of like acting like a template and holding everything together. I've got my first hole in there. That's where it's going to be the hole where I put the nut through, this nut. And I'm going to bend it right about here. So, we're going to take a wrench or anything, doesn't matter, and just kind of torque it down like that, and you'll get it. So let me get this bent. I kind of have to move over there to do it, and we'll show you how it comes out. Alright, so there you go. I did have to, it was a little bit long, so what I did was I cut a little bit off the end here, because it was a little too far in there. I figured it's going to be really, really short when I get that in there. So there you go, it's bent. Let's take it out, take a look. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is open this hole up a little bit, because that hole's a little small for the nut. And I don't know the size of the nut. I'll be honest with you guys, right off the bat. I went to Home Depot, I bought the strapping, and I looked around in the nut section, and I'm like, that's close enough. I can open up the hole if I have to. You can get a smaller nut, so you don't have to open up the hole. No big deal. This is just basically all an eyeball project. Doing it by your eyeballs. So let's get it back over on the counter, open those holes back up, put the nut in there, and then we're going to trim it up and make it look neat, you know, cut off that end like I did here, all nice and neat around the edges. And back here too, we'll cut that all up and make that neat. Alright, cleaned up my workspace, had a quick something to eat, and trimmed the edges. Now you have to trim the edges of this, because if you don't, they'll bump into each other when it opens up. It's always weird to open this up. There we go. Trying to separate these things with my very short nails. There you go. So you see, now obviously that's way too big, so we're going to take that down. It's also loose. I'm going to tighten that nut up a little bit so it doesn't keep falling out, and you get a nice sturdy lock up there. But that's how it's going to be. Now what we're going to do is kind of center this in the middle. Just center it and see about where it should be. Now from the looks of that, if I look straight down at it, that's about centered. Because as you can tell right here, those little circles or semicircles are bumping into the edge here, and of course that's going to slide around. Your pan's going to slide around and everything, so you'll end up like that with this hanging off the end. So we're going to cut 3 little notches in here once it's centered again. I'll mark it, and we'll cut 3 little notches. Then of course we're going to cut this down because that's way too long, unless you want to keep it long. That's up to you. So I'm going to cut that down and kind of deburr the edges and make them smooth. I did that up here, as you can tell, and I was explaining to you, it won't open if you don't do that, if you don't cut that off there. And I just put this in kind of loosely, And everything will, you know, kind of tweak it and bend it and make it flat when it's folded up a little better once we do the final cut. So let me measure that out, and I'll show you how I do it. I'm going to open this up all the way and place it down to about where it looks. I put my pen away, of course, to about where it looks centered. Take a look down at it. I have to take it out camera to do that. Okay, you can probably see what I'm doing. Yeah. One mark, 2 marks, whoops, 2 marks. Is it still centered? And 3 marks. Now they'll be big enough so it isn't, you know, it isn't imperative that they're one little tiny slice. They'll be big enough that this can go in there and sit. They'll also be the same height, same depth, I mean. You know, I just made the marks. I'm going to make them the same depth because we don't want this to be teetering and tottering on top there. So let me get that done, and I will bring you back. Oh, and I also kind of took some rough sandpaper and just cleaned off the plastic and the stickies and all the crud in here. Same as inside, so it's nice and smooth. It isn't pretty, doesn't need to be. It's going to be a tool that you cook with, so it's going to get pretty burned up anyway. All right, let me cut those little notches, and we'll bring you back. All right, so there it is, that quick. It literally took me 2 seconds to do that. I just cut a little notch in each section there. You can see the notch and the marker there, but the notch isn't that deep. And we just kind of drop it in there. And there you go. You got 3 notches. Everything's in place, and it's nice and steady. You can see it's flush and flat. Nothing's bouncing around. Nothing's uneven. Did get a little off center. I don't know how that happened, but it's all right. Again, as long as it's steady enough to hold a pan. Let's get a pan out here, and I'll show you what I mean. Because we're actually going to cook with this in tomorrow's video. As long as it'll hold the pan, I'm good. And that's doing pretty good. It's a little bit off, but we'll flatten that out and make it even. Also, this pan is warped, so we're probably not going to use this pan tomorrow. But doing pretty good. So, let me finish up, kind of touch up the ends of this thing here, and we'll make it look good. I'll finish up the sides. I'm going to take these down to probably right about here and round them off, just in case I want to use it on something a little bigger. And we'll test boil it with a couple cups of water, see how well we get at burn time. Just a quick note here I wanted to show you. The pan is warped, but I did have to kind of bend these a little. They weren't fully bent enough. Now we're getting a nice flat surface on there. I noticed in the video as I was watching it back that it was kind of way off. Anyway, let's get to trimming. And there you go, ready for use. I'm going to show you how I rounded off the edges. You can see what I cut off here. And I just rounded them off to make them neat. See, they're all in their little slots. Alright, nice, so because we're going to be boiling water, we're going to be using a pot this time. And you can see I got it nice and flat now, and this one isn't warped like that other titanium one. So there you go, this is what it looks like. There are your edges. You can see what I cut off over here. So that's going to go in the garbage. There's just extra. And it's ready for use. And when you want to break it down, this is the cool part. Take this out, fold this up, and there you go. And that is essentially your cook kit right there. So I'm going to wipe out the little bit of metal and dust and crud that's in there. And we're going to fill it up. I'm going to use heat for this today. We're going to fill it up with some heat. And not a lot. I just want to boil some water. So I'm going to take it up to that first level there. And I'm going to put that top back on and bring you back. Alright, let me get my phone out from underneath the pile of tools on the off camera that you can't see. Okay, I want to get that ready. And I want to get 2 cups of water. Got a measuring cup off screen here. Now remember, this isn't going to be super fast. I'm probably guessing it around 8 to 10 minutes before it boils it, but it might be quicker. I am going to use a lid. I have a lid for this pot. And we're going to see how long it takes. There you go. 2 cups of water. Pull out the handles here. And light the stove. There we go. Place that on there. And start the clock. And for the interest of preserving time, because this is already a long video, I will just bring you back when it's done. Okay? I'll see you then. But I did want to show you the burn pattern here. You see how the oxygen is being pulled in there, and it's burning up with the alcohol. So you get those burners on the inside instead of the outside. Alright, We gave it a few extra seconds there. All right, I'm hearing it. It's 8 minutes and let's say 8 minutes and 14 seconds. I'm hearing it boil. Yep, there we go. Got a rolling boil. So certainly not a speed demon, but for what you can do with it, with junk that you have lying around your house, and it's still got plenty of fuel in there to go. Certainly not a super fast stove, but definitely capable. So definitely an ultralight alternative, something that doesn't cost a fortune, something that's easy to make, and very handy. And if you want to put it out, I'm just going to snuff it with that. Pretty simple. Or you can put the pot over it again. Either way, it'll go out nice and easy. Sorry about that, battery died. Anyway, definitely a cool little project for you to do. Very simple to make. Really not much to it, and it's basically free. If you have this stuff, if not, I think the hanger strap was like $9. Now, I'm sure you can get a smaller amount of it, so it's easy to make, not expensive at all. There's other pot stands you can come up with that maybe aren't as involved as this one, but this one seems to work well for me, and it's a nice little compact kind of thing. You could probably just do a little grill over it and not even worry about a pot stand. But definitely a cool little project, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's fun to try stuff out like this because it teaches you how to problem solve as well. And a very important part of survival is being able to problem solve on a minute's notice. So, I mean, the first time I built one of these, it took me an entire day of coming out here, playing with it for 20 minutes. That doesn't work. Go back inside, do something else, come back out, try it again. So it's a trial and error thing, but it definitely helps with your problem-solving skills. And it's a cool little item, all in all. That cools off fairly quick, as you can tell I'm holding it now. And it's only been about, 2 minutes. So, cools off fairly quick. You can pop that in your bug-out bag, and you're on the way. Anyway, folks, thank you for watching. Don't forget, tomorrow we're going to actually cook with this thing. I'm going to make some scrambled eggs, and I have it's over here, so I'll give you a little preview. The O'Meal's home-style hash brown potatoes with sausage and bacon and peppers and onions and all sorts of stuff. So we're going to actually make breakfast on it and see how well it works. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to check out our links below. Don't forget to check out our Amazon link as well. I put everything in the store that I review, except for stuff I make, in that store. So if you want to see some of the older stuff I've reviewed, check them out. Don't forget to check out our Food for Patriots link. That is preparewithiridium.com. That is below. And I thank you for watching. Stay safe and stay prepared.